But to a greater extent, Mr. Chairman of the IPOD Summit, it is you and the ruling party that has a greater responsibility to Ugandans. The elections in this country around the corner, it is our expectation that you will lead the way in ensuring a peaceful election. I speak from a position of a participant. In fact, I was your political rival, Mr. President, as you remember. I went through hell during that election. And I do not like to see my successors going through such a situation.
May we receive the President of the Forum for Democratic Change, Honorable Engineer Amuriat.
Your Excellency, the President of Uganda and Chairman of the IPOD Summit, the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, my fellow leaders, presidents of the IPOD's participating parties, all the delegations from the 6 sister parties, I stand here to present a few views from the FDC. In 2009, we became part of the founders of IPOD. And our being here today underlines the fact that we as the FDC remain committed to dialogue. The dialogue that we envisage from this forum is meaningful dialogue. We envisage dialogue with respect for each other. We envisage dialogue where resolutions of the IPOD Summit are implemented. We in the opposition have a responsibility to the peace and security of this country in the way we play our politics. But to a greater extent, Mr. Chairman of the IPOD Summit, it is you and the ruling party that has a greater responsibility to Ugandans. The elections in this country around the corner, it is our expectation that you will lead the way in ensuring a peaceful election. I speak from a position of a participant. In fact, I was your political rival, Mr. President, as you remember. I went through hell during that election. And I do not like to see my successors going through such a situation. Secondly, Mr. President, even as we talk about dialogue, there is a dire need for us to reconcile this nation. Our country is broken apart on tribal, religious, and political lines. And we'll just be making a fun of ourselves, my dear friends, if we kept dialoguing without emphasizing reconciliation in this country. And reconciliation can take different forms. I speak today and do understand that there are a lot of people languishing in prisons. Some of them have waited for justice to be dispensed, and this justice is being delayed.
Thank you, thank you. If you can try to summarize.
Yes, I am going to summarize. My appeal to you, Mr. Chairman, is to exercise clemency. I would like to appeal to you, Your Excellency, that you exercise the prerogative of mercy. even for those who may be found at fault. And these should just merely be for the sake of not living in the past, but progressing this country forward. Finally, as I sit down, Your Excellency, you are aware that in an election, there are rules. And those rules, as the FDC, we will adhere to the letter.
Thank you.
We have candidates who will be traversing the country. And it's my expectation that the harassment that we normally face from the military and the police remains history, and that we may have a peaceful election.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
President
We
FDC.
will always be one Uganda, one people.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
May we welcome in the same spirit the President of the Uganda People's Congress to make his brief remarks in just 3 minutes.
Your Excellency, President Yoweri Museveni, Chair of the IPOD Summit, my fellow presidents, and I think I've just noticed His Excellency seems to be the odd man out up here, because everybody here seems to be a son of a congressman. As UPC, the seeds we have sown are part of what has germinated here. But as Ugandans, we're heading into an election season. And I, as a congressman who believes in the dream of Uganda, I remain committed to Uganda. I would try to do everything in my power that we can emerge stronger, more united, even if we go through a difficult election process. That is a commitment which Uganda People's Congress has had towards dialogue. We will always seek to pursue the dialogue option in order to overcome the difficulties, and difficulties will be there. There are areas where we don't agree on policy, but the greater good should be what should bring us together and seek to create a Uganda which will work for all its citizens today, tomorrow, and in the future. And therefore, I am here to demonstrate our commitment towards that better Uganda. We are not going to shirk from the responsibility. Whatever difficulties come, we are prepared and ready, willing to address them as best we can. And hence, on the dialogue platform, I hope through my colleagues and through you, Your Excellency, we have demonstrated our commitment to this dream. And we shall continue on this dream. But I wish to use this opportunity to highlight some areas where we may not agree with one another. And that I'm going to take my final minute here to give a statement of where I stand concerning the teacher strike on UNATO. I, as a congressman, remain committed to quality education for the people or the children of Uganda. But I don't agree in the separation of scientists and art teachers. I have had great art teachers who have built me up, who have encouraged, and I believe that these teachers are playing an important role in developing the next generation of Ugandans. So as Congress, I want to put it on record, UPC stands with UNATO. That is not to say, Mr. President, that we will not seek to find other ways or other areas where we are on the same page. But on a policy platform, On this one, I wanted to make it clear to my members and to others, we may have different policy platforms, we may have different goals or whatever, but the ultimate goal is how we're going to develop Uganda.
Thank you.
And for Uganda People's Congress, I say we remain committed to Uganda, and I say all this for God and my country.
Thank you, President, Uganda People's Congress.
The chairman of the IPOD Summit and also President of the Republic of Uganda, I wish to recognize the Right Honorable Speaker of the Parliament of Uganda, the Right Honorable Anita Annette Among, who is here in her capacity as the National Vice Chairperson of the National Resistance Movement. We are still getting used to that. My colleagues, the presidents of the member political parties of IPOD, Mr. President, I cannot fail to wish you a belated happy birthday. The years that you have lived, as you keep reminding us, has given you a granary of experience and wisdom. As we gather today, we remember the last meeting we had here in 2021. At that time, Mr. President, I reached out to you through the then Secretary General of the NRM to talk about the detained activists of the NUP and some of the other political parties. You then agreed to host a meeting of the summit. And in that summit, we appealed to you to draw a line between the misled and the misleaders. They could not be treated the same. And you agreed with us that the misled should be pardoned. And you immediately ordered the release of close to 70 of those who had been detained. We thank you for that. Sometimes these little gestures are not appreciated, but it is in a forum like this that we talk about these things. Secondly, the day that the Democratic Party and the National Resistance Movement signed the cooperation agreement, I told you that while I had joined the government you formed and which you lead, I had entered, but I had left the door open. I had not locked it behind me. I told you that there are many patriots in all political organizations, and as the head of the family we call Uganda, it is your duty to look for them. There is no need for us to think that there are no good people in all the organizations that exist in Uganda. They are all patriots. Indeed, when you walked in and you looked at my nephew, Honorable Amuriat, you remarked, "Are these the enemies?" Then I said, "No, sir, these are patriots." Indeed, the people in Kololo today are patriots, and this gathering will give Ugandans hope that somewhere there are people who are seated around you, Mr. President, to talk about Uganda and its future. Finally, we cannot have a country where there is no consensus about anything. We may disagree on some things, but we must find common ground. IPOD is about finding common ground because the unity of Uganda is paramount. In my younger days, in 1986, as a teenager, I listened to one of your speeches, Mr. President, and you described some categories of people using a Runyankore word. If I remember correctly, you called them Ronjera Maganya. The Ronjera Maganyas in your own words, you said, are those who seem to be delighted in increasing problems, even though there are already enough problems. Mr. President, the Rwandera Maganyas are the 20% based on the principle of 2080. This is a business principle that 20% of your effort will give you 80% of the results. So the Rwandera Maganyas also are the 20% who give us 80% of the problems we have. But we can also have 20% who give us 80% of the solutions. I don't know what the opposite of Rwandera Maganyas is. Today you should tell us.
Thank you. If you can try to summarize.
The gathering which is here. I'm delighted that the IPOD summit members are the 20% who want to offer at least 80% of the solution. So today, as I, on behalf of DP, take the leadership of IPOD, I want to announce that we shall leave the door of IPOD open. We are taking over the leadership of the institutions of IPOD at a difficult time. Our agenda will be to ensure that we have a peaceful election, a free and fair process, and that we shall continue to talk honestly about the problems we face, that we shall attack the problems that face Uganda rather than attacking each other, for God and my country.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Chairman Mao.
My colleague, Chairperson of IPOD Summit and President of Uganda, my colleagues, fellow party leaders, the Right Honourable Speaker, the Parliament of Uganda, Anita Annette Among Magogo, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. JEEMA party is one of the founder members of IPOD. In fact, if I recall, we were in this same place here in Kololo when we signed the first IPOD instruments. I am here to assure everybody that JEEMA is still committed to IPOD, and JEEMA will remain an active participant of IPOD. We believe that the challenges afflicting this nation can be comprehensively addressed through dialogue, through discussion, through consensus. And that is what we believe in as a party, and those are the values we bring to IPOD. We want an IPOD, Mr. Chairman, that is inclusive, and we should ensure and find all ways to make this IPOD process inclusive and have ways of bringing everybody under the umbrella of IPOD for the good of this country. Mr. President, the last time I addressed an IPOD meeting was in 2018 in Munyonyo, and I did emphasize the idea of rule of law, constitutionalism, democracy, and good governance. I am glad that my colleagues have highlighted some of them. One of the challenges, Mr. President,
as you conclude,
as I conclude, one of the challenges we are facing as a country is increasing episodes of impunity in some spheres of life. Inexplicable arrests, inexplicable detentions, people being on remand for years. And Mr. President, you remember that time, I gave you an example of many Muslim sheikhs, Sheikh Wanjala, Sheikh Wasigu, who have been on remand for now 15 years. They cannot receive justice. But that's just one example. There are really many others. And we agreed that you cannot have a criminal justice system where people are arrested and investigations come later. It's a mockery of justice. So I want us as IPOD, Mr. President, to begin discussing and squarely engaging those ideas for the good of our country. I thank you very much, and I bring warm greetings once again from the Justice Forum.
Thank you. May we receive the Chairman, President of PPP, Mr. Saddam.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, and Chairman IPOD, my fellow leaders, Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Chairman, our party is anchored on four values. One is reconciliation, one is non-confrontational, one is non-violence, and the fourth one is dialogue. It is because of those core values that we are committed to dialogue as a party. I can testify to you that the time I have been in politics, now it is 30 years, I have not appeared at police for any reason. For any reason. Why? Because of that approach. Even in the last election, where we managed to take a member of parliament to parliament, there is no single member of People's Progressive Party who was arrested. Why? Because of that approach we are preaching to our members. And it is that we need to teach to the people of Uganda. That you can disagree. And this is what I always tell my fellow leaders in the party. That when you are addressing somebody, whether president, whether a president of another party, bear in mind that the person you are addressing, where you are criticizing, his wife refer to him as a husband. His children refer to him as a dad. Once you bear that in mind, then you will sieve your language to make sure that even when you have disagreed with me, or with the president, or with the speaker, you will not antagonize with that expanded family.
Thank you.
If we can adopt that, then this country shall be peaceful. Let me wind up. When we are in the summit meeting, Mr. President, you alluded to the cycle of our history. But I want to say this, that at one point in time, every time those who are in the opposition have worked in the same government at one point in time. And when they disagree with those in government, then they come in the opposition. Because they have served in the government, as they take credit for what went right during their time in that government, even when they disagree, they should take responsibility for what went wrong when they are serving in the same government.
Thank you.
It is the very reason why we need to dialogue, and nobody should give reason or point fingers to apportion all blames to one party, to one individual. We are all responsible for what has gone wrong, and we must be responsible to correct it.
Thank you.
For God and my country. Thank you.
Your Excellency and members, may we give a better round of applause to all the presidents for their remarks. Thank you so much. Your Excellency, as I prepare to invite you to give your speech and closing remarks, allow me to recognize senior government officials in this meeting. We have the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, who is also the second National Vice Chairperson of the National Resistance Movement Party. Mr. President, we have also been joined by the Chairman of the Electoral Commission.
The Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, all the members of the delegations which are here. When I met the presidents quietly there, I just mentioned 2 points to them, or maybe 3 points. The first point is that I have been a close observer or a participant for the last 65 years as far as the politics of Uganda is concerned. I told them that I joined the DP in 1960. And I was a very active youth leader of DP. Then I joined UPC for 5 months. In 1970, but by 1965, we had started forming study groups in the universities, which were the precursors of what is now NRM. Now, in all that time, my observations are 2. Number 1 is that politics must be like medicine. A political leader should be like a doctor. A doctor looking at patients. And this doctor will only help those patients if he makes a correct diagnosis of what the patients are suffering from. If he makes a wrong diagnosis and makes a wrong prescription, the patients will not get cured. They may even die. When it comes to society, it is the same process. You either identify the problems of the society correctly and apply correct answers, or you will not give them a solution. And that's why the NRM has identified the 4 principles which we keep talking about: patriotism, love Uganda. Why? Because you need it for your own good. Secondly, Pan-Africanism, love Africa. Why? Because you need it for your own good. I don't have time to go into the details, but we have explained this elsewhere. Thirdly, socio-economic transformation. We cannot go on with the pre-capitalist societies, traditional societies, and we think that we shall manage to survive in the future. And finally, democracy. We think with these 4, we shall succeed, and we have been able to move, as we have seen. In the last 40 years almost, the NRM has been able to revive the economy of Uganda, and although we have still problems, but we are much stronger than we had ever been before. So that's the number 1. Correct understanding of the society. But secondly, if you have a different understanding, at least don't be violent. Don't use violence. Don't use subversion. Like the members here were saying, yes, they have got their different points of view, but let them express them peacefully, and then we see whether we agree or disagree. Now, when you have got a right understanding and you act right, then things will move. The country will be peaceful. But even if you have got a wrong understanding, but you are not violent, you don't act wrongly, Yes, you will make mistakes, but the country will remain stable, and in the future, those mistakes will be understood and corrected. Now, the disaster in Africa is that people have got wrong understanding, but also use wrong methods. They are wrong on all accounts. They don't understand correctly, and they act wrongly, using wrong tactics, violence, subversion, cheating. This is the crisis you get in these countries. This is why Uganda here was in chaos. I don't have time to go into all that. And IPOD is not a center for parties try to justify themselves. We shall have time for that. But because of all those mistakes, that's why you get chaos in Africa. Because even if you make a mistake, but if the country remains peaceful, in the future it will be corrected, and you will have where to start from. But when you are wrong understanding, wrong methods, that's how you get this total breakdown like we have seen in so many of the countries. Now coming to my son, JEEMA, about the teachers, I don't want to be, I'm chairperson of the IPOD, I don't want to go into that debate. But it could be why UPC had problems, because they don't prioritize well. They try to do this, then the other way. The teachers, if we have money, we'd pay all of them well at the very beginning. But if we don't have enough money, why don't we start with the ones that are fewer, but also are very much required the stage where we are? Because you see, we had a problem in Soloti Flying School. It was about to close because of the wrong thinking of, if we all don't get the same, nobody should get. Now, in Soloti Flying School, we needed most pilots and engineers of the aircrafts. But they didn't have money to pay all of them well. So, the school was about to close. When I went there, I found out that a pilot in a private airline gets 25 million shillings. A pilot gets 25 million shillings. Now here in Soloti Flying School, they were trying to pay a pilot 1 million, because that's what they could afford. And also pay the secretary, the typist, the same amount of money, pay the cleaner, pay what, wanting to pay everybody. Then I said, but you people, the one we need most badly are pilots and engineers. The secretaries can be paid well later. If you have got money to pay all of them well, good, but if you don't have, what do you do? Should the flying school close? Because either we all get or nobody gets. That logic is not correct. We freedom fighters, we always prioritize. Kamukamugo echi, akwati mpola akola chi, bugubugusichi, a chair is what? One by one.
One by one makes a bundle.
Yes. So, the when I advised them, they agreed to pay the pilots well. And there are not very many, because the pilots were few. And then the engineers. Now, the other people, the cleaners, the what, those can come later. But now they are trying, we are all working in Solid Flying School, we must all get equal. Yes, but we need pilots more than the cleaners. So that now that we are repairing the economy, we need engineers on the roads. We need doctors, very badly. We need chemists. Unfortunately, the scientists are not so many. They are not so many. So we can pay them, and then later we shall add on the other group. But I didn't want to go into that debate, because we came here for unity, not for arguing. So, with these few words, I want to thank the IPOD for having trusted us, NRM, for the last 5 years with the leadership. I now peacefully hand over to Mao.
Mr. President, we have to give you the flag to hand over to Chairman Mao. Officially, the flag for IPOD. If we can get the flag for IPOD, so that it's handed over to Chairman Mao.
Very good.
The flag. There shall be other formal handovers that will follow with the Secretary Generals and other members of IPOD. We agreed that this leadership of the positions is rotational. After DP, it will be another political party.
I am here to witness a peaceful handover of power.
As the NRM hands over to DP, may we all rise and give a big round of applause to the National Chairman of NRM for chairing IPOD for a very long time. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for handing over.